Hey everybody, it's Liv. I wanted to bring you a type of card that I like to do with my scraps. I am one who just hates to throw away such pretty paper. So one of the things that I wanted to show you today is what I call the Starburst technique. This is actually some of the leftover paper from that lovely paper bag tutorial that I had done in an earlier video here. So I had scraps left. I decided I didn't just want to toss them, so I was going to go ahead and do this technique. Some people use it very different ways. They use it for part of it, they use it for all of it. If they use it for all of it, sometimes they'll put a circle medallion here for a sentiment. For this particular one, I just decided to do part of it so I can give anyone who looks at this video an idea of how it works, and then you can figure it out from there. So I'm going to just walk you through the steps of how to create this adorable Starburst card, like I like to call it. And I will actually be using even more of the scraps that I had from this album that I worked on, as well as I have another set of papers here that I will do. The other reason that I am doing these cards is there's a fantastic swap group that I like to be in. It's called Creative Swappers on Facebook, and we exchange different types of cards. Now the challenge this time is to make 4 different Starburst cards, and then we will swap them out. So this is also part of my challenge, so I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone right now. So let's get started. The first step you need is scrap papers. You need decent sized scrap papers because you're going to be cutting this at 1.5 by 4.5. That's the dimensions you're going to want to use for any this is a 4 and 4.25 by 5.5 card, your typical A2 size. So I'm going to go ahead and get my lovely paper cutter out. You can use whichever papers you want. Again, this is a great way of using up all those scraps that you have. So the first step you want to do is cut at 1.5. Then you want to cut at 4.5. Now out of one standard 12 by 12, you'll be able to get at least 2 different strips that you can use. You probably want at least a total of 6 strips or so. This one still needs to be cut. Now the number of strips is really going to depend on how much of the card coverage you're going to do. As you can see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that I did on my card strips. So again, personal preference, no right or wrong. You can make it monotoned if you want, maybe just a couple of solid colors if you're not big on pattern. I am a big pattern person, just love it, and I think it looks so cute in pattern paper. So completely up to you. So that's a good start. So the next thing you're going to want to do is then take one of your strips, and you're going to want to cut it right down the middle to make a triangle. So you're going to cut from this point all the way to this point. Now I actually have some scraps left over from the previous card, so I'm going to throw them in this pile to use. So again, from one corner to the other, you can get a better look here on my camera. You can see how I line up the paper in order for you to be able to cut it. So you want one corner on one end, one corner on the other, and cut. And that should give you the super duper triangle pieces. So not only is this easy, it just looks so much more complicated than it really is. All right. So the next step is to take your card base, whatever you're going to be using for your card base. Now again, like I said, this is a regular 4 1/4 card by 5.5 folded over, so that'd be 11 across. I'm just going to fold my card real quickly using my bone folder to get a nice crease here at the end. So then all you next is going to do is figure out how you want your layout to be. This is completely a preference, up to you. Again, at first, so some people who are just doing maybe a circle over here, and they're going to have a circle sentiment at this point. So this would be really cute with like a doily or something like that, which I think is a great idea. I think I am going to do that. So if I take a doily, so I know that this is pretty much going to be my circle point. Just for in your mind, you kind of know there's going to be something here, and then you start. Now you're going to end up trimming the edges, so I would not suggest you put glue along here. You're really only going to put it on the points where you're going to line up your cards. There is no right or wrong in regards to what order you do. It's completely up to you and your personal preference. So I'm just going to start off with this one, and then you continue to line them up all around the card. Because I really don't want any tape to be cut, because it really does kill my trimmer over here to have tape on the ends. I tend to just put some tape down here like that, and then work my way through. Here, make sure you guys can see how I'm lining them up. I do like to turn my cards because it's just easier for me to work with, and I'm turning the piece of paper than if I'm not. The next would be my pink. You want to keep them as close together, just kind of creating a fan effect all around. And again, you could do as many or as little as you want, depending on what you're going to do for your ultimate card. Not cut that one yet. So now you see, you do sometimes get an excess left over, but it's just so much easier to work with when you're doing something along this lines than trying to cut every single to figure out the end length. Will it leave you even with more scraps? Yes, but at least for me, it makes me feel a little bit psychologically better that I've conquered some scraps at least in it. I just want to cut a few more sheets of lined paper to bring some of that into the card. Now, no one's really going to see this point. Most of the time, depending on what effect you're going to do here, if you're going to do like a half circle coming through, they're not really going to see that. So that's perfectly fine if you want to kind of leave it open. If that bothers you, then of course cover it up. So I am going to end up adding that circle that we were talking about earlier, so I'm not so worried about that. So the next step is you're going to look, when you see the base of your card, you're going to see all this overhang. You're then going to get rid of all this overhang. Now again, you can do this with scissors, you can do this with your trimmer, whatever you feel most comfortable with. I'm going to use my trimmer because it tends to give me a pretty nice straight cut. My trimmer has seen better days, so I do need to get some sharpening up on it. Now, there's some people who feel very good freehand with the scissors. I am not one of those people. But if you are, you can also, of course, just cut it right off with a pair of scissors. That is perfectly fine. So I move all this excess out of the way. And then show you just how cute this is. So you can kind of see how cute that pattern came out. Now, there's people who like to sponge. There's people who like to do something different. Now, again, with this particular card, the cardstock from the previous video, I had all these little sentiments. So I am going to actually, instead of a circle, one thing you will find when you craft with me is that I change my mind quite often as to what exactly I want. I am now going to take my corner and line this up right there, like this, and ta-da, you have an adorable card using this really quick and easy technique. Just so you can see the colors a little bit better. Try and bring my better lamp in. You can just see just how cute and simple this whole process was. So this could be something you do. Again, some people like to ink their edges on. They can do that as well. It's completely up to you. But hopefully you'll be able to try this technique, and it's a great way to use up your scraps. All right? Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you liked it, and if you did, I would love if you subscribed. Take care.